Now watch the bouncing balls at 6:50, only on Channel 4. You're watching the news on Channel 4. It's 5 o'clock.
Good afternoon, I'm Don Shelby.
And I'm Cindy Hilger, and once again for Colleen Needles. Well, this is Super Tuesday, the biggest day yet for polling and politicking this election year. Voters in 11 states are going to the polls to vote in primaries and caucuses today. There's a large number of delegates up for grabs this Super Tuesday, and how these people will vote will determine which presidential candidate will get the delegates. Those candidates did some last-minute politicking today. Arkansas Governor Bill Clinton is hoping to make a big showing, especially in the South. Former Massachusetts Senator Paul Tsongas campaigned in Florida today, trying to convince voters to give their support to him instead of Clinton. And former California Governor Jerry Brown isn't expecting to win any Super Tuesday states, so today he went on to Michigan to meet with auto workers. Michigan holds its primary next week. Republican candidate Pat Buchanan doesn't expect to win any delegates today either, so he too has set his sights on next week's primaries in Michigan and Illinois.
Campaign spotlight will shine on the Midwest next week, but today it is primarily focused on the South. As we mentioned, 11 states make up Super Tuesday, and Paul Tsongas is expected to win in his home state of Massachusetts today, along with neighboring Rhode Island. But Bill Clinton is expected to sweep the South, and you'll notice that the 6 of the states voting today border on his home state of Arkansas. To get a better idea of what's happening in several of the Super Tuesday states, we want to turn to our political reporter, Pat Kessler. He's joining us from Agenda 92 Election Center. Pat?
Don, we're keeping an eye on 2 key states that have primaries this Super Tuesday. One is Florida, where the primary has been said to be a toss-up between Bill Clinton and Paul Tsongas, and the other is in Texas, where the most delegates are at stake today. Now, just moments ago, reporters covering the primaries in both those states updated us on the polling, and we'll begin with a report from Miami.
Here in Florida, the polls say the real contest is between Bill Clinton and Paul Tsongas, fighting it out for the state's 148 Democratic delegates, the second largest number of delegates at stake in today's contests. The 2 Democrats have been sniping at one another on issues ranging from gasoline taxes to Social Security benefits. Tsongas of Massachusetts is banking on doing well among transplanted Northeasterners, as well as among more affluent voters. Clinton is pinning his hopes on a large voter turnout and is expected to do well among black voters here. On the Republican side, President Bush is expected to win the state easily. Patrick Buchanan has done little campaigning here. In Miami, I'm Linda Tyra reporting.
Across the state of Texas, voter turnout is expected to be low. Indeed, in precincts like this one in Houston, the turnout is light. George Bush is expected to win the Republican primary in his adopted home state. And on the Democratic side, Bill Clinton is expected to be the victor. This is Norm Ewell reporting.
A very important day for both Bill Clinton and Paul Tsongas. Already, though, attention is shifting to the industrial Midwest, where delegates are at stake next Tuesday, Michigan and Illinois, where Mr. Tsongas brings his message to Michigan, and Mr. Clinton is hoping to do very well in Illinois and Michigan. So a lot of delegates at stake today, Don, but next week already could be the one that wraps it all up for one or both of them.
But Texas could be the key state for the Democrats?
Definitely today, Texas is a key state in the Democratic primary, but during the election it's going to be very key because of the number of delegates it has. President Bush against whoever the Democratic nominee is. California as well, hundreds of delegates there. Those are 2 states that a presidential candidate really needs to have in order to win.
Are we seeing the last days of Patrick Buchanan?
I think Mr. Buchanan has said recently that he's going to stay in it until the end. He's concentrating, we are told now, on Michigan and California, but he's running a crusade, and even if he gets beaten every single time, again, we have to remember that President Bush is winning by 20, 30, 40 points every time. But even if he gets beaten, he says he's going to take his message to the convention because it is a message he says America needs to hear.
Kessler on Election 92. We're going to wrap up our discussion of the presidential campaign here, and then invite you to join us at 10 for updates on the Super Tuesday polling. Once the polls close tonight, we're going to keep tabs on how the votes are going. Then we're going to report the results to you coming up at 10. Cindy.
A legislative proposal to provide medical insurance to an estimated 200,000 Minnesotans got a major boost today. Representatives of health maintenance organizations gave their support to the proposal. Now, the HMOs count more than 1 million Minnesotans as their patients. The proposal will be funded in large part by a 2% tax on healthcare providers, and HMO leaders say they like that funding proposal. Critics maintain, though, the program will mean higher healthcare costs for consumers who are already insured. Huh?
A young mother and 3 of her children are dead following a tragic car accident in rural Stearns County. The accident happened yesterday afternoon near St. Wendell. That's about 8 miles northwest of St. Cloud. Today, the authorities say it appears the woman did not stop and yield to another car passing through the rural intersection. Bill Hudson has more.
Deputies were back at the accident scene today, looking for answers to why a mother and 3 of her children were killed at this rural intersection.
There is no evidence to indicate that anyone involved in this accident was wearing a seatbelt.
30-year-old Denise Greeley and her 3 kids, Jason 9, Candy 12, and 13-year-old Bobby, were killed when their car was broadsided. Another daughter, 10-year-old Brenda, is in serious condition at the St. Cloud Hospital. The impact of the crash threw the victims from the car.
We heard this boom, and I got up and I looked out of the living room window, and I just saw 2 bodies that hit the ground. So then I ran right away and I called 911.
Another motorist who witnessed the crash said the Greeley vehicle made no attempt to stop at the stop sign. In fact, neither vehicle left any skid marks.
First rumble strip was at 417.
Rumble strips in the tar and warning signs well in advance should have alerted Denise Greeley to the stop. The car's brakes were found to be working. Others who drive the same road say the 2-way stop is simply dangerous.
And the stop sign is a blind stop sign from the north, because there's a large hill. You come over the hill and the stop sign is there.
Today, in the small town of Holdingford, where the family lived, counselors helped grieving classmates. The school superintendent says they faced tragedy here before, but never were the victims so many and so young. Bill Hudson, WCCO Television News, Stearns County.
Services for the Greeley children and their mother will be held Saturday morning in the gymnasium of the Holdingford Junior Senior High School.
A mobile home fire in Burnsville kept firefighters busy for a while this morning. Investigators now think a gas leak caused the fire. It gutted a home in the Camelot Acres Park. Nobody was in the mobile home at the time. One firefighter did suffer smoke inhalation, but he was back at work by later this afternoon. Some people trying to get in and out of the Twin Cities today by air ran into delays because of radar problems in Chicago. A snowstorm overnight knocked out the main generators at O'Hare International and Midway airports. The radar systems are now up and running, but a spokesperson for Northwest Airlines in Egan says travelers in the Twin Cities can still expect some delays. I understand there's 2-hour delays all the way through 7 or 8 o'clock tonight.
I'll tell you what, the snows may have caused some problems all around the area, but right here is where that snow has gotten me. Mike Fairborn, I hold you personally responsible for the condition of my throat today. Are you there, Mike?
Well, I am. I don't know if you can hear me. That's the main thing.
Too much snow on the line.
Got his voice, too.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Yeah, a little bit of problems down in the Chicago area, and I guess they had some slippery runways, too. We had reports of at least one airplane running off the end of the runway down there, but that wasn't related to the radar problems that you were alluding to, I'm sure. Cold around here today. Wind chills stayed in the 0-degree range throughout the day, in spite of the fact that we did warm up to 24 after an overnight low of 10, so it was sunny but cold. Clear outside right now at 24. Tonight, we'll have some increasing clouds a little bit later on. Some flurries developing between midnight and morning, a low of around 12 degrees, and tomorrow looks like another flurry day. Can we say that, flurry day?
You can say anything you want to.
It often does.
Yes, a flurry day expected tomorrow. Details at 10.
For 5, though, we still have a lot more to tell you about.
Well, we will have community news, of course, coming up next. And among the stories, you're going to see what extra incentive one suburb is giving to first-time home buyers.
And then during weather at 5:16, meet some Minnesota rockhounds. See why and where they hunt for rocks.
And then at 5:23 today, the story of some local scouts whose concern for the environment put them on the tube.
This is the 5 o'clock news on Channel 4 with Don Shelby, Cindy Hilger, Mike Fairborn, and the rest of the WCCO News team.
The ifs, ands, and buts of driving an award-winning car. If you see your Heartland Chevrolet Geo dealers now, you can drive 92 special purchase Chevy Luminas. Family Circle Magazine's Domestic Car of the Year. Only $249 a month, no down payment. And you get V6 automatic, air, AM, FM, stereo, cassette, and more. Special purchase 92 Luminas, $249 a month, lease, no down payment. But this offer ends March 31st, 1992. You must see your Heartland Chevrolet Geo dealers now. No ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Bring the Baron home. Red Baron microwave singles.
This is ordinary bulk fiber. It's full of grit. This is new Sunrise Smooth Metamucil. The grit is gone because it's triple ground for smoothness. This is ordinary fiber. The grit is definitely not gone. This is new Sunrise Smooth Metamucil, the best mixing, smoothest tasting natural fiber you can buy. The grit is gone. New Sunrise Smooth Metamucil. For regularity, nothing works better, and the grit is gone.
It's been said pursuit is strong. But what about foxtail and bigger pigweed? It's been said pursuit stands alone. But what about lamb's quarters and volunteer corn? It's been said pursuit is leader of the pack. But what is it really? The DuPont Total Post Program. Flexible control that beats pursuit on these tough weeds and grasses, even in no-till. Now at a competitive new price.
After 15 years apart, a heartwarming mother and child reunion. Don't miss the next Inside Edition.
Tuesday night at 10:35 on Channel 4.
Today in community news, West St. Paul is getting recognition for its trees. Voters in the Osseo School District are going to the polls. Plymouth is offering incentives to first-time home buyers, and fourth graders on St. Paul's East Side are learning an important lesson about disabilities.
All right, now you're going to see about the personnel issues here at the WCCO TV, because Cindy is filling in for Colleen. Right. So now we're going to turn things over to Amy Marsalis, who's filling in for Cindy in the Community News Center. Amy.
Got it all straight, Don. Thanks. Well, our top story, voting day in the Osseo School District. They're expecting a high turnout in Brooklyn Center, Brooklyn Park, Osseo, Maple Grove, and Plymouth, the communities served by the school district. Voters are deciding on a $52.5 million bond issue. The bulk of the money would go to build a new high school in Maple Grove. The rest of the referendum would finance improvements at other locations. The polls are open until 8 o'clock. We'll bring you the results tonight at 10 if they're available. If you're interested in living in Plymouth and you've never owned a home, listen up. The city is getting ready to launch a first-time homebuyer program to help low and moderate income families realize their dream. We checked into the Plymouth program today. More than 35,000 people work in Plymouth, but many don't call the suburb home because the average price of a house here is $140,000. The city wants to change that with a first-time homebuyer program that starts in a week.
Basically, what we're going to be doing is be providing a financial assistance at the time the first mortgage is written to reduce the size of the first mortgage. The family selects their own home, the family selects their own lender, and basically the city will be involved at the time of closing, providing a financial write-down to the first mortgage amount at the time of closing.
Eligibility requirements go like this. An applicant cannot have gross assets that exceed $25,000. You must be a first-time home buyer. The house must be purchased in Plymouth, and you must qualify for a mortgage from a participating lender. Here's a look at the income requirements. For example, a two-person household cannot have a yearly income exceeding $30,400. Deborah Snook says this program could give her the opportunity that she wouldn't otherwise have.
With rent going up and up and up, to get it down so that I'm paying out for my housing a reasonable price, where I'm not working 7 days a week, 12 hours a day.
This is a neighborhood in Plymouth that some applicants may consider. Many of these homes and townhouses run in the $90,000 price range. Now, registration for the program opens a week from today. It closes March 27th, or when 100 families have registered, whichever comes first. Tomorrow's Sun Current, serving West St. Paul, reports that the community is now a Tree City, USA. So what does that mean? Well, to be a Tree City, a community must have a tree board or department, a tree ordinance, a community forestry program, and an Arbor Day observance. By the way, Arbor Day is on April 29th this year. And finally, this afternoon, a story about a special lesson. A St. Paul man was tired of having the kids in his East Side neighborhood stare at him and ask him questions, so he did something about it. He made plans to visit Phelan Lake Elementary School. There he showed children how he uses prostheses in place of the hands he lost in an accident 37 years ago. Crawford, who demonstrated several everyday tasks, says he's more independent than ever.
Sure, I got married, but my wife doesn't do too much for me. At first she did, but not anymore.
It's kind of cool when he kept on, when he can't do it, he didn't give up. He always had hope in himself.
Crawford wants the kids to learn that people with disabilities are people just like everybody else. And that's our community news for today. If you have a story idea for us, please call our tip line. That number is 330-9009. Don and Cindy will return right after this.
There's a business where goals aren't measured by quarters, but by generations. A business where the board meets under open sky. For this business, DuPont created Accent, a low-use rate herbicide that protects corn from foxtail and wild proso millet, and protects the land as well. Because in this business, the accent is on tomorrow.
Only Arby's offers you a real choice of light food, including 3 sandwiches under 300 calories and 94% fat-free. The lean, fresh sliced roast beef, turkey, and chicken, all made with lettuce, tomato, and served on multi-grain buns. So come to Arby's, or... Arby's is different. Hey, different is good.
Take off to Walt Disney's World on Ice double feature, playing March 18th through 22nd at Target Center. WCCO TV and Target stores treat you to opening night, March 18th at 7:30. Save $3 with Treat Seats coupons from the music and video department at your nearest Target store. Come see all your Disney pals live on opening night. Tickets are now on sale at the box office and Ticketmaster. Don't miss Walt Disney's World on Ice.
Mike Fairborn's coming up. Before he gets to the weather, we will talk a little bit about this new thing we're starting. It's a great program. Everybody is interested in rocks, Mike.
Well, I hope so. Yesterday we began our series on Minnesota's geology Go for Rocks, and we got off to a little bit of a rocky start, I guess. We showed the wrong story, but we did give the right answers for that story. That's important. Now, this afternoon, we present our introduction to geology, rock hounds, and discover the 3 main types of rock that they like to look for.
Here, look it. Here you go, guys. See, there's lots of shells in there. See that? But this will show you that it really was a sea. The kinds of animals that are in here.
Geologists of all ages love outcrops and road cuts. This one in southeastern Minnesota has fossils from an ancient ocean. The exposed rock tells the story of geology, the study of the earth and its history over millions of years.
Where did you find it? I found it actually right in this road cut.
Every rock has a story, often with millions of chapters. The oldest rock found in the United States is here in Minnesota. Our region has a wide variety of rocks. Most rocks are made of minerals, natural combinations of chemical elements. With more than 2,000 minerals in the Earth's crust, there are lots of different rocks. Geologists have learned that they form in 3 main ways.
Rocks are formed, first off, from molten material. The earth at depth is molten. The molten material, when it comes toward the surface or when it moves to an area where there's less pressure, will become solid.
These rocks are called igneous, from the Latin word for fire. The second main type of rock is made from sediments, any loose material, sand or clay or gravel, at the Earth's surface.
Now, this sediment was sand. And what happened is after a while it got piled up so thick that the water was forced out of it. So that sediment sand became the sedimentary rock called sandstone.
Throughout southeastern Minnesota, roads or rivers cut through layers of sandstone and limestone, another sedimentary rock.
The third principal kind of rock is called metamorphic, from metamorphosis, change. Those are rocks which have formed at depth under high temperature and high pressure. They are the changed rocks.
Metamorphic rocks can form from both igneous and sedimentary rocks. But no matter what type it is, when a rockhound finds it, that's the start of a collection.
This one is in the shape of South Carolina.
Sure, South Carolina. No matter what the shape, geologists classify rocks by the minerals and the processes that form them. So today's Go for Rocks assignment is to name the 3 main types of rock. And the answers are igneous, those are rocks made from molten materials; sedimentary, the rocks made from sediments; and this is a big word, kids, metamorphic. Metamorphic. That's either igneous or sedimentary rocks that are changed by heat and pressure. Now, tomorrow we're going to learn about the natural forces that create geological change. Had a little bit of a change in the weather out there today. We had some sunshine, a little more sunshine than we've seen in quite some time. All that due to high pressure that built over us, low pressure finally moving away from us. Have another little clipper that's just on the northwest doorstep that's going to move through us later tonight and tomorrow, bringing us a little dusting of snow. We're not expecting any significant snow amounts, probably an inch or less, but we are going to cloud up a little bit, and it'll probably stay a little bit breezy as well. In the meantime, high temperatures tomorrow should warm up a little bit over what they were today. We hit around 24 degrees for a high. We should see temperatures in the upper 20s tomorrow before we begin any kind of a warm-up coming into the weekend. Here's what the forecast looks like. Right now we're clear in 24. Tonight, increasing clouds, flurries developing after midnight, a low of 12, and tomorrow cloudy with some light snow, a high temperature of around 28 degrees. Now, the answers to our Go for Rock series is going to be repeated tonight on the 10 p.m. newscast. If you missed those, you can have your folks watch for you and write them down for you then. And it's also going to be on our Touch-Tone TV line, 330-9009, and the option is 4. You'll also get the forecast with that. You might want to dial in the forecast, Don.
Okay. I don't have my Touch-Tone TV here. Thanks, Mike. Earlier this afternoon, some local Boy Scouts became TV stars of sorts.
Maybe you had a chance to see them in a television special today, which aired right here on Channel 4.
If you didn't, you might be wondering what some local kids could do that would give them this kind of attention. You're going to find out next on the 5 o'clock news.
The feel of the road, the look of the sky, the view of the world as it passes by.
The 1992 Mercury Grand Marquis, one of our best sellers for a lot of reasons. V8 power, full-size comfort, available dual airbag protection, and ABS brakes, making the quietest Grand Marquis even better.
All this in the quality of a Mercury.
Dear Walgreens, I just wanted to say how pleased I am with your pharmacy. My daughter got sick while we were on a trip. Your pharmacists and my pediatrician coordinated everything through your satellite system. My daughter received the medication she needed, even though we were hundreds of miles from home. Thank you, Walgreens. P.S. My daughter is fine now.
Here's a good-as-gold photo finishing special. Get a second set of color prints for 99 cents, up to 36 extra prints. Next day, next door, from Walgreens.
Some people say it's impossible to make a great-tasting sandwich that's better for you. With new Healthy Choice cold cuts, they're about to eat their words and love it. Here's why. Tender chicken breast, oven-roasted turkey, cooked ham. Delicious? Definitely. But lower in fat and sodium than the leading brand, and that's got to be better for you. With Healthy Choice, the choice is yours.
And now, look for delicious Healthy Choice meats in your Grocer's Service deli case.
I needed a change of scenery, so I left Wall Street for 2 years and got a job in Africa with the Peace Corps. We've started a development program for local businessmen. You won't find them on the exchange, but we have our share of success stories. Helping Jomo get a loan to motorize his fishing boat has tripled his catch and meant more food and jobs for everyone. It's proved to me that investing in good people provides great dividends.
Peace Corps, the toughest job you'll ever love.
Today's Eye on Minnesota report is about some local youngsters who gain national attention for their efforts to help the environment.
You might have seen them here on Channel 4 between 3 and 4 o'clock this afternoon. There are more than a dozen area Boy Scouts, and they were featured on CBS School Break Special. Our Brad Good was with those Scouts today when they watched their television debut. Pretty exciting day for them, wasn't it?
Oh, you bet, Don. You know, anytime a kid can watch himself or herself on TV, it's always a big day. The program this afternoon was based on the book 50 Simple Things Kids Can Do to Save the Earth. What these scouts do is turn into biology assistants for 10 days each winter to help save a massive reptile from extinction on faraway beaches. The past couple of winters, Boy Scouts from the East Metro area have hit the surf in Costa Rica. Sure, fun is part of it, but their mission is always to help save the endangered leatherback turtle by protecting its eggs. The Scouts measured the massive creatures and counted eggs for research. More importantly, they patrolled the beaches to keep poachers from stealing the eggs.
A group of Boy Scouts from Minneapolis traveled to Costa Rica.
Today, the Scouts watched as their project received accolades on the CBS School Break Special. One of the Scouts featured was Tom Wrighton.
You feel really good after you do something like that because you know you're helping. And seeing that these turtles are so huge and realizing that you're helping to save many of those turtles, I mean, it makes you feel good inside.
Scoutmasters say the program gave the teenage boys a clearer understanding their accomplishments to save the environment reach well beyond their neighborhoods.
And they realize that even though, you know, they're not nesting here in Minnesota on our beaches, it's part of all interlocking things in the environment. And they see the appreciation of trying to save the sea turtles.
I also began to see myself more as a world citizen, and that, you know, we're out here helping these animals, but we're not just helping the animals, we're helping to promote world citizenhood.
The scout leader who led his fellow scouts on their mission in Costa Rica say the threat of losing something forever has given them a more assertive attitude.
What really needs to happen in the next few years is just to have lots of these one events to all add up together and work at a bigger and better world.
And of course, all the Boy Scouts there say they benefited in many other ways besides helping to preserve the leatherback turtle. Scout leaders say the kids have developed a cross-cultural relationship with the Costa Rican Scouts. Many are pen pals and set up visits throughout the year with those guys, Don.
Any way of telling how this will carry through or has carried through in the lives of these people who've done it before? Any people going to turn their lives to environmentalism, ecology, biology?
Actually, I asked several of the Scout kids that today, and they said yes. They said this is something that's changed their lives. They think about it all the time, and one thing for sure, they all want to go back. In fact, the Boy Scouts are planning another trip back to Costa Rica this December to go on yet another turtle beach patrol, and now they're working with even more species of sea turtles. So it's definitely made an impact on their minds.
I'd like to go with them.
So would I.
And we can all learn a lesson from those Scouts about how important it is to protect our environment.
That's for sure. We are going to wrap up today's Eye on Minnesota report with some closing thoughts from one of the Scouts about the impact he thinks he and his friends have made down there.
I think we can see a big improvement in our world. We'll see less endangered species, and we'll see a continuing trend of growing numbers of animals. And that's for our enjoyment, for our kids, and for the next generations after that.
You've seen them at the auto show, over 344 new cars and trucks, but only one dealer can offer you 5 of the top 10 sellers. Your Ford dealer, like Ford Escort, America's best-selling small car for the 11th consecutive year. Right now, buy a new 92 Ford Escort and get up to $744 in option package savings. Plus, for a limited time, get low 2.9 financing for 48 months or up to $750 cash back. You wanted a good reason to buy American? Your Ford dealer has 5 good reasons. Test drive one today.
We're jazzing things up at Cattle Company.
With the steak and the stuffed lobster, hey, but they never say heck, like when they dig the check and the cowboys are swinging all day.
Cattle Company presents stuffed lobster and top sirloin for a crazy $9.99. But not for long.
Soft, 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 fluffy soft. From a dryer sheet, Downy dryer sheets.
Downy softens best of any dryer sheet. See? Downy's fluffy softness even cushions a bubble. That's because we put the fluffy softness of Downy liquid into a dryer sheet.
Come on, come on, come on in. Feel the Downy softness next to your skin.
For the most softness of any dryer sheet,
Come on in to Downy.
Hoop it up on Channel 4. I say, yo, how high can you go? Slam dunk down the b-ball, don't you know? The Go First are gonna rock this city. Hoop it up on Channel 4, let's get busy.
Watch the Gophers hoop it up against the Spartans of Michigan State in a Big Ten showdown. Wednesday night at 7 on Channel 4.
Tonight at 10 in Dimension, we will continue our look at the importance of breakfast for school children. Studies have shown that students are weaker academically and physically when they do not eat breakfast. Now, we put those results to the test with an experiment in a Minneapolis grade school. We tested the students on 2 consecutive days, once after breakfast, the other time before the kids had eaten. We wanted to see if students' scores would be affected by their empty stomachs. You can watch for the results of our experiment. That's tonight at 10 in Dimension. Don?
And finally, today at 5, we want to show you how the state capitol got a taste of international flavor today, complete with the colors and costumes and music. More than 200 international students from Minnesota's 7 state universities shared their cultures by carrying the flags of their homelands into the Capitol. Then they told stories to people who gathered to watch and listen.